I've always painted and drawn ever since I was a little kid. But since 2009, I've been working on my biggest project to date. I call it Plein Air 365. Most people ask, what is plein air? Plein air is a French word which means painting outside on location. And the style of plein air that I do is called alla prima. And alla prima means in a single sitting. Hi, how's it going? Most people, when they see me painting, think I'm painting what's in front of me. But most of the time I'm painting what's behind me. Like today, I'll be painting literally what's straight behind me. It's a trick to help with the memory. Adding more shape, more form, more detail. Again, going back and forth from the dark to the light, finding shadows. Shadows create drama. With plein air painting, it's usually you have a warm light, you're going to have cool shadows. If you have a cool light, you'll have warm shadows. I always did acrylics and watercolors and airbrush. I really fell in love with airbrush. That was my first thing with colors. My background is realism, photorealism, realistic style. And I really couldn't do impressionistic. My brain would not loosen up enough. So I thought, yeah, I'll try taking a class, and just fell in love with the whole loose style that the impressionistic was showing me. And it was an eye-opener. One of my first classes, my teacher had a whole bunch of still life set up, and I chose one with a rocking chair and a bunch of Indian corn, maize corn. It was full of color, and I was putting in every kernel and every little detail there was. And he let me work on it for about 2 days like that. And finally he came over and he goes, "You mind if I do something?" And I said, "Sure, please, show me." And then he went over to my palette, scooped up 4 or 5 different colors, mixed them all together, and with one big brush stroke went over everything that I'd done. And in literally one brush stroke, there was all the kernels, all the colors, everything that took me 2 days to do. He did it in 30 seconds. I was blown away. That's when I truly fell in love with what I was seeing. And then after that, he took me outside to show me plein air. I did a workshop doing plein air. And first one I did, I swore I would never do again. I was left so frustrated. I never wanted to touch it again. Went back, listened a little harder, went a little slower, and started getting the idea. Wasn't by any means a master of it, but was starting to see what my teacher was trying to show me with the plein air, like he did with the Impressionistic studio. And then I was hooked. It was on. I started going out at least 5 to 6 days a week doing plein air. That began my whole oil painting, impressionistic endeavor. And then I was standing in this field painting, and this idea came to me of trying to do a painting a day, every day for a year. And I thought, wow, my teacher always said, the way to improve is you got to paint, paint, paint. And I thought, that's the way to do it. I'm going to do a painting a day, every day for a year, and see what kind of a painter I can become. And about 3/4 of the way through my first year, I read a story about Van Gogh, who had done roughly 900 pieces in his 7-year career, which is just a huge landmark for a plein air painter. Just a painter in general, but just a plein air painter, that's a lot of painting outside. So at the end, I was towards the end of my year, I figured, well, I'm at 406 pieces. I could do 900 pieces in 2.5 years. For me, it wasn't about the numbers, it was the amount of time that I could get behind my brush and the experience that I would get and what kind of painter I'd become. And I was looking up some stuff about Monet. I read across an article where they said Monet had done roughly, that they could figure, 2,000 paintings in his career. And I thought, wow, that's phenomenal. I'm going to make that my new goal. So I went from a year straight to 900 days to making my goal to 2,000. On day 2,000, I looked at my wife and I said, I don't want to quit. There's too many places I want to paint. It's amazing the different subjects and variety of landscapes we have here in America. Just amazing. Well, that led into doing 5.5 years of plein air painting, 2,014 consecutive days in a row. And that leads me to where I'm at today. Part of the reason that I do the plein air is once I get out here, it gives me a chance, no matter how stressful my day is and what I still have to do, to lose myself for a few hours. Painting allows me to escape the pains and angst of real life, of, from funerals to injuries to even the wonderful bursts that happen in families that can take up time to paint. But I just find that is a better opportunity and something we're celebrating on that day. The hardest thing was my children were very busy in their band activities, which I love, but it was trying to work painting around sometimes their activities. The schedule wouldn't work right to paint during the day, so I would go out and paint at night because it was the only time that I had. I have been nose to nose with a few wild buffalo, which has surprised many people. That's an amazing and powerful animal. So you never know what you're going to run into when you're plein air painting. So the average time is about an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's kind of the fun part of the plein air, is you got to be in, you got to be out. There's no time to really sit and think. The only time you get to think is this last little, the details, the 5%, that last little, let's have some fun. So for me, this is kind of like dessert. It's your treat for holding off and having patience. That's the details. That's the fun. But that's also where trouble can happen, where you overwork it and you take away that freshness that the plein air brings, is that spontaneity. Everybody says it has such a fresh feel to it. And I saw my teacher doing huge pieces, and he'd be done in an hour, hour and a half, and it's amazing, just beautiful pieces. So everybody would ask him, how do you paint that fast? And his answer always was paint, paint, paint. Hence the reason I started the 365, was to learn how to paint, paint, paint. Another one of his favorite phrases was hurry, hurry, hurry. Light's changing. That's it. Hurry, hurry. I can hear him right now. Telling me to hurry, because I'm dilly-dallying right now. But a common question is with the plein air, how do you know when you're done with a piece? And that was another question everybody would pose to my teacher. And and I understand it now. Uh, it's when your eye stops looking for places to fix. When my eye says, no, something's wrong with that spot, something's wrong with that, then I keep working. But when suddenly it goes, oh, I don't know where to put the paint that I just loaded up on the brush, that's when you know you're done. Set the brush down and walk away. I usually don't redo them in the studio just because I love them for what they are. They're just this quick, fleeting moment of time and color. For me, there's just so many more scenes to paint. That's about it. Last thing to do is to sign it. I feel the painting is more about the scene than my signature. If you can tell that it was me, that's good enough.